Kedushas Bava Kama Daf Kuv Beis Amud Aleph. We're Kuv Beis Amud Aleph. Great day to everybody. Bava Kama Kuv Beis Amud Aleph. Beis Kuv Beis. Middle of the Shemitah Sugya. We're learning all about Shemitah and Kedushas Shevi. And Be'ezras Hashem, the Shiur is Le'ilu Nishmas of Imoyer Menachem Ben Akiva. Le'ilu Nishmas Sol Bas Moshe. Le'ilu Nishmas Rus Bas Sholem. Ule also. לרפואס נוח ליונד בן יולי אוריה לרפואס בסוף של כל חול ישראל לאצולס אברום מוישה בן גיטל
Abraham ben Yehudis
ולרפואס אברום בן יודיס
and
סבס נחמה. Okay, weiter. Good base Amud Aleph. We spoke yesterday about Kedushas Shevi. Yeah? And we said the following. Let me give you a small summary. I don't think the whiteboard is important. Let's leave it. Let's not be North Korea. Let you decide if you need a whiteboard or not. Okay? If yes, we'll draw the line. We'll draw the chart. So first of all, we all know that fruit have Kedushas Shevi. What does it mean? Fruit are things that are defined by, obviously it's edible. And when you eat something, you enjoy it, you benefit from it while it's being consumed. Yeah. And also on shove. Okay. And the Torah says, La'ochlo. The Torah tells you, yeah, in this week's parsha, what is chus? It's a big chus to learn the parsha of the week in the Gemara. Yeah. So they say in school, they told us that. Bahar, yeah. So, La'ochlo. La'ochlo v'lo l'schoiro. Rashi keeps bringing the pasuk. You only meant to eat the fruit and not do basically anything else with it. The only other thing you can do with it, generally speaking, is smearing on your body. If let's say it's a cream that's supposed to be smeared into the body. Why? Because, and this is something important which I didn't tell you yesterday, not only there are types of fruit, types of produce that have they have Kedushas Shevi, because they are the types of food in which you enjoy and you benefit them as they vanish from the world. You eat the tangerine, show and tell. Yeah, peel it first. Yeah, and as the palate enjoys it as it gets destroyed, so to speak. That's a definition of what? Of the fruit that you're not supposed to have hana from. Also, the type of hana you're supposed to have is hana. How will you able to use the fruit on Shemitah? What are you allowed to do with it? In English, it's called consuming. You're allowed to consume as you consume them, they vanish and you enjoy them at the same time. Actually, consume is a very good word for that. Yeah, it's like a kilui bisman abiu. The Zoom is very, very hard with me today. Difficult. Okay, good. Now, you get what I'm saying? The types of produce, such as fruit, yeah, le'ochlo, eat the fruit and don't do anything else. What else is similar to fruit and therefore Kedushas Shevi also applies to? These are pieces of wood or leaves, or many times it's roots. And what is their use? They're planted originally and meant only for one thing by human beings. They're planted lechatchila for dyes, colors, whatever you want to call them. Yeah, it's meant for dyeing. Thank you for your grammatical correction yesterday. They're meant for dyeing, D-Y-E, not to die for, D-I-E, but D-Y-E. Okay, so now when you cook the dyes, you cook those samimonim, we call them, those herbs, those roots. As they vanish, they become unusable anymore. They lose the freshness completely. It also gets absorbed into the water, and they are now color. So I'm gaining, having color, having dye, while it's getting lost. Therefore, Kedushas Shevi applies there too. What am I allowed to do with the fruit of Kedushas Shevi? Says Rashi, you can burn them. As long as it's not the Zman Abir, you can burn them. Okay. So now we basically have one group. I don't think we need so far the whiteboard. There's one group of produce, of agricultural things. There's one group of agricultural things, and that is what? That is things that are consumed and you enjoy them as they vanish. That's fruit and vegetables, anything you eat, of course, and colors. There are all kinds of, herbs and, things. that grow plants that are for coloring. Oh, very nice. Now came a second group. Second group was the group of the maybes, those that are, the swing in between one option or the other. These are what? These are the aligphonim. Aligphonim, yeah, our esteemed colleague over here, Peretz, can tell us, and I think I also ate them once. Aligphonim are the leaves of the vine. The leaves of the vine, some people use them as delicacy. It's something very culinary for them. And for some people, it's just firewood or fire leaves. It's just combustible. But now it depends what you collected it for. If you went during Shemitah, now, in Shemitah, you go on a trip to the Golan, to the Galil, and you see vineyards over here. Even here in Bet Shemesh, we have vineyards nearby, and you collect the leaves. What are you doing? Depends. If my machshava, if my kavanah, my intention is to burn them, there's no Kedushas Shevi. Mashma, that firewood meant for fire, no Kedushas Shevi. Mashenken, if I mean to eat them, I collect them and I'm fantasizing in my mind as I collect them. Wow, my wife is going to make this delicious alei gefen memulaim stuffed vine leaves. Then what? Then it's food. Food, Kedushas Shevi. And you have to treat it to Kedushas Shevi and beer and everything else. Okay, depends on your machshava. Comes the third group. They are the other extreme. These are the wood, which is firewood only. Firewood only, that's meant for fire. There's no Kedushas Shevi. No Kedushas Shevi by firewood. That's the third group. 1, 2, 3. I don't think we need the chart. Food is always Kedushas Shevi. Firewood is never Kedushas Shevi. And the vine leaves are, like those people who don't know if to vote Republican or Democrat, whatever, these kinds of votes, they're depends who, who's going to talk to them nicer. Yeah, depends on your kavanah. Okay, I really have to deal with this. Okay, I'm sorry, but this, I don't know what it wants for my life. No. Why is it, one second. Why is it that firewood is really not Kedushas Shevi? Why not? Who told you? I'll tell you why. Says the Gemara. The normal way of using firewood in the olden days, and also today, when we think of barbecue, actually for us Westerners, we don't use firewood that much, right? When do we use it? We can relate in the barbecue. Barbecue, you don't use it while it's being consumed, right? It's not like as it's thrown into the fire, the coals, and the fire is big and the flames are high. That's not when you enjoy it. You first want to create coals with it, hot coals, and the hot coals, those hot coals eventually become very good stuff. They are very good to put your steaks on. So because the firewood normally is something that's hanaosoi, biuroi koidem lanaosoi, you burn it, vanished, finished. It's just carbon. It's just coals, and then you enjoy it. That sets itself apart as a separate party, as a separate group called no Kedushas Shevi. And you can do those trees whatever you want with those pieces of wood, twigs, branches, call them whatever you want. They are not Kedushas Shevi. Now, there is a little chupchik here, a little addition to the third group, to the extreme group of the trees. The Gemara said, hey, wait a second. Let's say I'm a smart guy. I'm not, but let's say I would be Mr. Smart Guy, and some people are smart. He takes the piece of wood, and you know what he does with it? He uses it as a torch. I don't know if it's a different type of wood, not so clear. Chavrush and I were clearing, or some people use woods that way, but there is a certain percentage, definitely a minority of wood that they use as a torch. They hold the torch here. Look at the gray part, and the black part is lit, and that's the way it's supposed to be used. So then, you use it as it's being consumed. I'm happy with the light, right? Let's say Bekitzer, use the fire as light, use it as a torch, or Americans would call it flashlight, right? It's a flashlight, it's a primitive flashlight. Hey, if I collect the wood and my mind is, I want to collect the wood in order to hold the torch, I want to be the Statue of Liberty number 2, and I want to have that twig to use it while it's burning on, enjoying it right now. Hey, that's like group number 1. That's like the fruit, right? That's like crunching the tomato and enjoying it. So maybe there's Kedushas Shevi. Says the Gemara, Says the Gemara, no. The third group is very right-wing, very, very all-inclusive. And because normally, and I'm now reading Kuf Beis Amud Aleph, I'll hear you soon, Kuf Beis Amud Aleph. That's exactly what we're holding. I like it when we start at the beginning of the page. Stam Eitzim Lasoken Oimdin. Normally, trees, wood, those things are normally meant for hasaka. Hasaka, in order to heat the house, apparently, back then they did not use flames. They would make sure that the flame goes out, yeah, and then the coals, the red coals, the hot coals, they would stoke them and keep them for cooking, for warming the house, v'chule, for heating. So because of that, because the etz as an entity, as an object, is normally, let's say 90% of the time, is used with first, it's finished, it's been finished, so to speak, and then I enjoy it in its post-mortem situation. Therefore, Kedushas Shevi, that doesn't apply to that. We have to read the Rashi here. This Rashi is much better than any chart I would make. Look at Rashi that actually summarizes everything we've been saying, and then listen to Baruch. Stam etzim lasokonitnu. Everyone look at Rashi, not at me. Rashi is nicer than me. Says Rashi. Stam etzim lasokonitnu. V'lo lehoir. They're not meant for light. Normally, eitzim are not for lighting. Yeah, no, eitzim, wood, are meant for warming. That's the vast majority. That's what's accepted. Hilkach, therefore, eitzim ninhu. They remain under the category of wood. Mimela Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Torah never applied chal, never applied shvis to it. This is just like a plastic jug. A tree, no Kedushas Shevi in a plastic jug, no Kedushas Shevi in the tree, in the wood, in the shmud. It just doesn't apply to it. I want to use it in a smart way for lighting as I go along. Thank you very much. We don't leave that much room for individuality. Aval, here comes the second group. Here comes the other extreme group. Tzvi chesitim, which are the coloring dyes, those herbs that are for dyeing. Stam and letzvia, they are normally universally accepted by most human beings for what? For coloring, such as the turmeric, very strong. Hilkach, chalalay kedusha, so kedusha applies to it. Once you're supposed to consume the levael, to get rid of it, to burn it, mafkir, can't use it at all, not even to light with. The kitzur shmita applies to it. Here comes the middle group. Who are the ones who are who are, in Hebrew we call it kol tzaf. No, the floating votes. The votes that don't know, how do you call them in English? Swinging votes? Swinging states? Yeah. So then the alikonim vegfonim. What about those vine leaves or the other leaves of the konim? Yeah, some people eat them, some people use them as combustible. Therefore, that's up to you. Here we leave room for your machshava. Therefore, there we follow the thought, the idea, the intention of the person when he collected it. If it's for wood, there's no Kedushas Shevi. And if it's for food, wood or food, so funny. English is striking again. Wood or food? Would you like to eat it as food? I'm joking, yeah? Wood or food? If it's for wood, no Kedushas Shevi. If it's food, yes, Kedushas Shevi. No, there's a queue, sir. I'm so sorry. Yes, but you are next. You're second in line. Before we continue, I just want to point and answer Ellen, and that is that using olive oil for lighting is okay, generally speaking, in Shemitah, because it's hanaosai ubiyorei shaveh. I enjoy it as it gets, as it burns and sort of vanishes into a flame. Oh, that's what I like, the flame. That's what I'm enjoying right now. I have a nice flame, nice romantic Shabbos meal by candlelight. And that is what we want, and that is the hanaosai ubiyorei shaveh. Thank you. Amav Kane, we all want Shabbos candles. Amav Kane, the Eitzim Lasoko Tanohi comes of Kane and says, Edgar of Kane, Eitzim Lasoko, that concept that tells you that Eitzim Lasoko is so totalitarian, that even though your kavana was for what? Was for really for lighting and not for coals, you want the flame, not the coals, you're nobody. We don't care. And that's it. Trees are trees, wood are wood, and they're generally meant for asaka, and therefore there's no Kedushas Shevi whatsoever. That's a machlokes tanoim. He wants to claim it's a machlokes tanoim. The Tanya. Now I'm going to see a brayso that takes us on a little journey all over Shevi. Okay, the Tanya says a brayso. Ein moisrin pero Shevi loy lemishra veloy lekvusa. Says the brayso. One's not allowed. I don't know. Moisrin. One's not allowed to use beir shvis, let's say wine. You cannot use your nice wine of Shemitah, of Kedushas Shevi, and use it for Mishra to soak the flax. The flax, it's not the seeds, by the way, it's the flax, the fibers, below lekvusa, and not to wash your clothes. In other words, the flax comes in a long stalks, and it's stuck inside. The fibers are stuck inside with what you have in a gem, pectin. It's stuck inside. It's all gluey and gooey with pectin, and you need to soak it in water for 3-4 days. Some say 12 days. You have to soak it in order to basically separate them. No, not to accept pectin. To separate the leaves and let the pectin go, and separate the fibers, and now you have the fibers of the flax, which eventually will be linen. So Mishra, let's say I'm a fancy guy, water, water. I'm a North Tel Aviv kind of guy, and I want to soak my pishtan with wine, or the laundry. I want to do my laundry with wine. I go to the washing machine. Instead of putting the Ariel powder, I put Chardonnay, because that's my classic kind of thing to do. Well, back then it says in the Torah, right? Kibes bayayin suto. That's a bracha of Yehuda. Yeah, that he'll wash his clothes with wine, gives good aroma, good smell. I guess not the white shirt, I guess the black pants. He washes it with wine. So if you want to use your wine of Shemitah for laundry or for soaking the pishtan, no, you cannot do that, says Tana. Soon we'll explain everything. That's not Kedushas Shevi. Why? Well, we understand why. Okay, but let's continue. Says Rabbi Yossi, I think you can. If you want to take your wine of Shemitah and use it for your laundry, let's just stick to laundry because we can relate to it. Yeah, you have a nice bowl of all kinds of dirty diapers, nappies, and you have all kinds of things. You want to wash it with wine. Very nice. Go ahead, says Rabbi Yossi. No problem. You can do it in Shemitah. Now, what's the machloekes? My time at the Rabbanon. What is Rabbanon's reason? What's Rabbanon's thing? That's the one word. That one word that eliminates everything else, that forbids everything else. Everything else is also only eating. You can eat it, don't soak, eat, and don't wash. Why? Because that is something. Soon we'll see the definition. I know you know the definition, but that's not eating. Let's start very simply. Yeah, you're not eating. You're soaking your dirty socks in it, or your nice dress, whatever. Don't do that. Rabbi Yossi. What would Rabbi Yossi say to that? Oimer, what does he say? This week's parsha. Lachem. It says lachem leochlo. The fruit of the land of the 7th year should be yours to eat. What does yours mean in the Torah always? Says the Gemara, lekol tzorkeichem. You can do whatever you want with it. Woo! Rabbi Yossi says, because every time the Torah says lecho or yours, b'shivtecho b'veisecho, the Gemara says in Bochus, in Sukkah, means when you do whatever you want. That's how no when the Torah says yours, it means yours. It's yours to enjoy, yours to discover, yours to do. So really, the Torah is telling us a contradicting message. Lachem, it should be yours, whatever you want to do with it. And that's what Rabbi Yossi says. Rabbi Yossi, don't try that at home. We're not at the end of the sugya. But at this point, Rabbi Yossi said, do whatever you want with Per Shemitah. Lachem, it's yours. And Rabbanan say, no, what are you talking about? Le'ochlo. Le'ochlo means you can only eat, only eating, nothing else. Frag the Gemara. Well, now, what will each Tana do with the other word, with the word brought by the other party? Rabbanon, nami yaksiv lachem. Well, Rabbanon, it says lachem. The Torah is not so restrictive and tells us only eating. Lachem sounds, do what you want. So what's going on here? Answers the Gemara, lachem, a healthy middle, the golden path. It's yours to eat, which means you can listen carefully. You can use it for usages that are similar to eating. A bit like klal uprat. Ochlo is only eating. Lachem means eating plus. Eating in its broader definition. Meaning, as everybody here knows, any kind of use which is like eating, similar to eating, which means as you enjoy it, it's being consumed and finished and vanished. Eating, the grape is crunched into my palate, Nobody's going to eat it. I love the taste. Ellen, thank you. Or burning the midnight oil, burning the olive oil. I'm enjoying it while it's being consumed. Or a cream. Let's say I take a jojoba cream, and the jojoba grew in Eretz Israel, and it's normal to use the jojoba on the body. Yeah, okay. So that's nice. I enjoy it as it enters my body, it gives me the good soothing feeling, and it vanishes into the pores of my skin. So any kind of use similar to achila is okay according to Rabbanon. What about washing? Yotzu mishro kvusa shanoson achar biuron. Mishro and kvusa. Let's talk about kvusa first. By kvisa, you know what kvisa? Laundry. Hanaosoi is after the biur, which means the kvisa. I think even today, with a very fast-paced world, forget about back then. Then the laundry was a whole day of work. Yeah. But even today, forget about washing machines. Even they take time, by the way. Let's say you want to do, hand washing. Yeah. So you put your wine. Imagine yourself real dirty laundry. I'm just trying to go extreme here with real dirty stuff, and with your 1-year-old. That's before disposable diapers. Yeah. And you poured your beautiful 500 shekels wine, and maybe some rich people do that. Can you now use the wine and drink it? No, it's already soaked with all the fish. Is the fish cloth already clean? No, it takes time. Back then it took a whole day, and today it would also take, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour to an hour. It takes time also, which means the biur of the item, the wine, being unusable anymore starts at 9 o'clock. It's only going to finish the job when? 2 o'clock or next Thursday, depends when you live. So because kvisa, the hano and the biur are not together in one go, in tandem, not in the same second, mimela, that's not called what? It's not called proper use for Shemitah. Not allowed to use it as your Shemitah wine, can't use for that because it's too different to le'ochlo, to eating. Okay? By the way, I don't know if you noticed, as I told you at the beginning, you have to keep in mind that when we say Kedushas Shevi, there are always there are two boxes we have to have in our minds. The type of item, right? Let's say, yeah, wood is nothing, right? And fruit is always yes. And also the kind of use I can use it. Yeah. Wine has Kedushas Shevi for sure. Nobody says no, right? No question. What can I do with the wine? I can only use it according to Rabbanon for something similar to eating. Yeah, when the hano and the biur are together. Flax, how long does it take to soak the flax? I saw in a sefer, in a modern day sefer, it says 12 days. It says in the Rashi 12 days. Rashi here says 3-4 days. Rashi here says 3-4 days about the pishtan, and Rashi in Bava Kama doesn't say otherwise. I don't know. 1 second. Rabbi Yossi. I'll hear a question when we just let Rabbi Yossi speak first. Rabbi Yossi, Nami aksiv la'ochlo. Rabbi Yossi, which seems to be so permissive and allows everything, even laundry, dirty laundry, with yen shmita, no problem. Says Rabbi Yossi, lachem. Lachem means do what you want. Back to the Gemara, aksiv la'ochlo. You can't ignore the pasuk says eating, mashma, only eating, not anything you want. Amar lecha, says Rabbi Yossi, I know. I also limit it. I'm also limiting it. Ahu, that word, it's needed for a different brisa. The Tanya, it says in the brisa, Rabbi Melamed, you only allowed to use the pear shmita, the wine of the shmita, or any fruit for eating and not for medicinal reasons. Let's say melugma is actually like a band-aid or a bandage. Let's say I have a bandage with a cream, not the cream for enjoyment, for fun. That's a different thing. Let's say when you use it for, or they take some, I don't know, dates or apples, I don't know, maybe the olden days, or today, you can put it on the wound and it heals. That you're not allowed to do, even according to Rabbi Yossi. Okay? Because why? Soon we'll see why. Wait, Rabbi Yossi, what made you say that? You say, yeah, I also limit it, says Rabbi Yossi. I know of the pasuk la'ochlo. And la'ochlo means only eating, as opposed to what? As opposed to health, medicinal reasons. Line starts with la'ochlo. How do you know? Why do you say, yeah, why say so arbitrarily? He's saying the pasuk la'ochlo comes to exclude health, medicinal things, and does not exclude the laundry. Why? Because the Torah also gives you the permissive word. Do you realize what's going on here? Omo. Very good. It's not exactly a stira. No, we're not in the stira stage. 1 minute. We have it. 1 second. The Torah says one lenient word and one restrictive word. The restrictive word is ochlo, eat it only. And the permissive, the word that's allowing you more, that opens more options, is lochem, do what you want. Rabbanon are happy. Rabbanon found the healthy middle. To say you are restricted to eating, and the word lochem, which opens up more, says eating and anything similar to eating, such as what? Such as cream, such as burning the oil, etc. Rabbi Yossi is doing a different job. Rabbi Yossi says basically the word le'ochla, which is restrictive, tells you only eating and not what? Excluding medicinal purposes. It cannot be used as a pill, medicinal thing. Yeah. The permissive, the word that allows you more, the word that's more lenient, which is lochem, comes to open up and allows you to use it for laundry. Now the question is why? Why do you decide? Yeah, the tick box, the good box, the one with the tick, is yes, you're allowed to use it for laundry, and the X box, the one that's restrictive, is not allowing you to use it for what? What is shiur? The restrictive one is against medicinal, and the good box, the permitting box, allows you to use it for laundry. Why? Who told you that? And that's going to be the Gemara's question. Amani mekayim le'ochla, le'ochla v'lo le'melugma. Ochla comes to tell me, as opposed to don't make medicine out of it. Frag the Gemara, what I told you. Why? What made you say Maro Isa? What made you say that? Why do you say that the kvusa is included and the melugma, the health medicinal thing, is excluded? Why? There's one word that enters and one word that exits. Why? Berabe Ani answers the Gemara. Berabe is a kvusa sheshave b'chol odom. Says Rabbi Yossi. Everybody needs to do laundry. I mean, hopefully, my wife, Baruch Hashem, does the laundry all the time. I appreciate her for that. Everybody needs to use laundry. Everybody has to have clean clothes. It's shovet b'chol odom. Everybody uses it. So the type of use, just like eating is essential, says Rabbi Yossi, so too any other essential use, yeah, is also something I can use with pair shvis. That's his definition. So the whole idea of what? The idea of everything being consumed in one go and I enjoy it while I consume it, which is something we believed in so much before. It's up to machloikas. Only Rabbanan believe in that. Rabbi Yossi does not believe in that at all. Rabbi Yossi has a whole different standard. Rabbi Yossi says no. The usages that are kosher for Shemitah are usages that are normal everyday usage. Umoitzi aniasa melugma, which is medicinal. Hopefully not everybody is sick. And the fact that today everybody uses pills is one of the big maladies of the Western world, But really, normally people should be healthy and not take pills all the time. So melugma is not something to be taken by every person. Melugma should not be your everyday use. No. Because melugma, health, medicinal things, pharmaceutical things, are not supposed to be as normal as washing your clothes. That's our Rabbi Yossi. That's his take on the definition of Kedushas Shevi. So now we know that everything we learned up until now, also about the wood, is actually the top, is really up to Machlokes as well. Now the different ways how to explain that, we'll discuss it later. A few more lines and then I'll listen to Baruch. Just one more small thing. Kiman Azla Hodetanya. Who is the author of this following brisa? Kiman Azla. Who does this brisa go with? It says in the brisa, le'ochlo v'lo le'melugma. You're allowed to eat the Shemitah fruit and not use it for your Band-Aid or for your aspirin. Le'ochlo v'lo le'ziluf. Ziluf is basically air freshener. You're allowed to drink the wine, but don't spray it, don't spritz and spray it over the house, the wine. They used to use wine as like an air freshener. Don't use your Shemitah wine as an air freshener. Le'ochlo v'lo lasas mimeno apiktoizin. Le'ochlo, and don't make it into a vomiting thing. How do you call it? Something that causes you to vomit. Yeah, sometimes let's say you have food that you intake in order to vomit. The girl is a lolain, has bulimia. So that's what she uses it for. Don't use pair shvis for your bulimia purposes. Kiman, who is the author of that brisa? Rabbi Yossi. Why is Rabbi Yossi? all these three things are not normal by every human being. To use it for melugma only if you're sick. To use it as an air freshener, it's only if you're a very fancy guy. In the times of the Gemara, only very fancy people would waste their wine on what? On spritzing over the house to freshen the air. Not every Joe Schmo has it, yet today it's synthetic. And the third one, to throw up, Baruch Hashem, not everyone is bulimic, not everyone is, I don't know, people who want to throw up. Only Princess Diana was, right? So we may what? So now that's not normal use. That's not a normal thing to do. Rabbi Yossi, that's his standard. Hike Rabbanon. Because if Rabbanon had they been the authors of the Brisa, Ikanami Mishro Kvusa. That's a difference. Rabbanon would also forbid a fourth item called laundry and also soaking your flax. Why? Because although this is very normal to be done by everybody, Chachamim don't care. Chachamim don't care about normal, not normal. Chachamim care about the stages of consumption. That's how they define Kedushas Shevi. How that connects to previous sugya is a question, but first I want to listen to Baruch. Okay, yes. I'm with you every step of the way. So now, how does that connect to the previous sugya? All very nice. We have a machlokas, right? How to define shvis. Do we go according to Kedushas Shevi? Do we go according to what? According to according to Anotu B'Yoshove, the consumption being all in one go, or do we go according to what's normal to be used? That's Rabbi Yossi. Rashi wants. So how does that have to do with the eitzim? One simple way of explaining it is like I sort of hinted to you before. We said before that the wood, wood bichlal, we say is something that is used when normally. How do you normally use wood? First, the flame. I don't want the flame in most cases. I don't need it for light. Apparently, we don't use wood so much, so we don't know. But if you live in a wood-using society, normally you let it burn, like in a barbecue, and then you have the coals, and then you're happy with it. Then there's no Kedushas Shevi. That concept of itself is not so simple, right? Because according to Rabbi Yossi, not true. According to Rabbi Yossi, we don't believe in the concept of who came before who. That's a Rabbanan concept. Rabbi Yossi says what's normally used is considered to be the Geder Kedushas Shevi, you're allowed to use it for, and what is not normally used, you're not allowed to. There's another way to explain the connection, which is Rashi over here, but for now, I'd like to leave it because we have a lot more, and then I may go back to it later. Yes, we have a long page to go through. Rabbi Peretz, I'm listening to every word you say. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Yima Shvach. We're done with Shemitah and with colors, and now we're going back to our Mishnah, and we're going to say a story time. What did Rabbi Yehuda say? Remember the machlokes in the Mishnah? Those machlokes Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. What happens in the third case of the Mishnah, case C, case 3? The artist, the artisan, the dyer did a terrific job, but not the job I was looking for. I told him to paint red, and he painted black. And he told me, who cares? Red, black, it's all the same. It's just colors, yeah? Says Rabbi Meir, he's a Gazlan, and he's koine b'shinui. He keeps the very nice painted, dyed wool black, the black wool, the black sheep. And he has to give me just the minimal amount of the wool, because he was koine with a change, with a shinui. Says Rabbi Yehuda, no. What? He's a choita, he's a posher, he's behaving very, very bad boy. Yeah. So he shouldn't be in that profession if he's the colorblind. And therefore, we say Yoda Latachtoino. You keep that, you give me the wool, says the client to the artisan, to the dyer, and I'll pay you the minimum, whatever is minimum, whatever was the least of your expenses, either the expenses or the result, whatever is minimum, I'll pay you minimum wages. Because Rabbi Yehuda wants to find the bad boy in the story who was very uncareful with the color. Says the Gemara story time. Yosef Rav Yosef, Achoyer de Rabbi Abba. Rav Yosef was sitting, imagine yourself at the Medrash in the times of the Gemara. Rav Yosef was sitting behind Rabbi Abba, Kamein de Rav Huna. Rav Huna was in front of both of them. Rav Huna was giving Shiur. Rav Huna was giving Shiur facing Rabbi Abba, and Rav Yosef was behind him, just like Rav Yosef right now is behind you, Yitzchok, So too, Rabbi Yosef of the Gemara was behind Rabbi Abba, and Rabbi Abba was facing the Magichir, which was Rav Huna. The Yosef of Bava Kama set Rav Huna to give a shiur, and he said the following. He made a statement about the Mishnayos, the Tanoim. He said, "Halacha Rabbi Shiur ben Korcha, v'halacha Rabbi Yehuda." There are two Mishnayos in Shas, not only two. There are two Mishnayos in which I hear in one Mishnah in Avodah Zarah, I paskin like Rabbi Shiur ben Korcha against Chachomim. Soon we'll see what. And in Rabbi Yehuda against Rabbi Meir in our Mishnah, I paskin like Rabbi Yehuda. That's what he said. What is it? What he talks about? I promise you, I'll explain. Hadrinu Rav Yosef le'apei. Rav Yosef turned his face with disdain, with disapproval, and he did not like what the Magichir was saying. And he said, "Bishlem Rabbi Yosef ben Korcha itzrich." Oh, let's get into it. There's a machlokes at the beginning of Avodah Zarah between Tana and Rabbi Shiur ben Korcha in the Brisa, and we paskin here like Rabbi Shiur ben Korcha. And Rav Yosef says, Rav Huna, you paskin like Rabbi Shiur ben Korcha, it makes sense. I understand what you have to tell me, and it's a chidush to rule like Rabbi Shiur ben Korcha. And soon we'll see what the machlokes is. Sal kedai techamina, I would have thought Yochid v'Rabbi Malochi kerabim, as Baruch told us recently. When you have one opinion against many, halacha kerabim, usually the majority rules. Kamash malan halacha keyochid, Rabbi Shiur ben Korcha, halacha keyochid, full stop. Rabbi Shiur ben Korcha, here, I understand you, Rabbi, Rav Huna, you're telling me halacha like Rabbi Shiur ben Korcha? That I agree with you. Why? Because it's a chiddush. I would have said Rabbi Shiur ben Korcha was outnumbered by his colleagues. You're telling me no. Here, it's one of those exceptions. There are many exceptions to that rule. We follow the individual and not the majority. The Gemara, what everybody here wants to know, what's the machlokes about? The price of cheese in China? Rabbi Shiur ben Korcha, Mahi. What is the issue there between Rabbi Shiur ben Korcha and Chachamim? The Tana. It says in the Brisa, Rabbi Shiur ben Korcha oimer, milve b'shtar. Mackenzie, where was he all this time? Tim Mackenzie, our good friend, unfortunately, has gone down off the derech, and now he's over the Zorah. Very, very sad. He wasn't yet not affected by us so well. And Tim Mackenzie, let's say he owes me money. Tim Mackenzie owes me money. Now, let's say I knock on his door and I say, Tim, I've had it already. Tim, you owe me money for a long time. Pay to me now, please. Thank you. It's been too long already, okay? My patience is already, that's it. Can't take it. So now, if I do that right before the Chaga, the holiday of Avodah Zarah, I'm not allowed to do that. Why? Because Tim Mackenzie actually is very happy to pay the debt back to me. It's off his head. Yeah, he gives me the $1,000 that I lent him. I take the star and I tear the star. Oh, for him, that's music to his ears and a beautiful movie in his eyes. Finally, that Jew boy, doesn't have the star against him, and Tim Mackenzie is very happy. Why can't I make him happy a day or two or three before the day of Avodah Zarah? That's he's a very believing Christian, not really a big Catholic. Imamish goes to the church to thank Yoshke and Maria and Evelyn. Yeah. So why can't I do that? Because he's going to thank his God. He's going to thank his Getchke. And that's why I'm not allowed to do that. I'm not supposed to facilitate a guy in his Avodah Zarah. So I not only can't pay him, that's for sure not, I can't even be paid by him, I cannot, because he'll be happy that the debt is off his mind, got rid of the debt, and he'll go to the Goyish church or whatever, the shrine, and thank the Getchke. Everyone agrees to that in general. What is machlokes between Rabban and Rabbi Shiur ben Korcha? Milve b'shtar, says Rabbi Shiur ben Korcha. Milve b'shtar, any foreign man. If the milve between me and Mackenzie was b'shtar, it wasn't a written shtar. You know what the shtar is? I'm not allowed to be nifra. Why? A shtar can wait. Heaven can wait. Wait till next week, till he'll get sober from his stupid holiday. And what? Then charge him the shtar. Show him the shtar. And if not, bring the police with you, and that's it. But milve al peh, nifroin man. If it's an oral agreement, verbal agreement, you're allowed to go to Mackenzie and say, hey, Mackenzie, remember that we had an oral agreement. I trusted your good word. Pay me now. That I'm allowed to do even a minute before the Yom Tov, between the Chogo, before the Chogo. Why? Because that's Hatzolo. because it's very likely that Mackenzie, if I don't have a shtar, and I'll come to Mackenzie and say, hey, Tim, remember I lent you money? And Tim will say, I don't remember anything, you lending me money. He's going to lie. Very easy to lie when it comes to Milva Balpe. So if he's in a good mood, Erev his Yom Tov, to what? To actually pay me now, you seize the opportunity and you right away, don't wait, and Milva Balpe, you take it from them, even if he's going to thank his getchke, even if he would. You take the risk. Chachamim disagree. Chachamim say, no. If whether Balpe or Bishtar, even Balpe, you don't charge Goy and take it and charge it the debt before their chaga, because they may thank the getchke, we don't want to take the risk. And here we pass him, and you. Now I'm playing the role of Rabbi Yosef, sitting in the corner of the room, in the back of the room. It says that I agree is a chiddush Rav Huna. Ella. Now we come to our sugya. Halachic Rabbi Yehuda Lamali. Now the second statement you meant, what you said is what? Is our Mishnah. Machlekes Amen Rabbi Yehuda regarding the dyer who dyed black instead of red. And you're telling me very big news here that halach is like Rabbi Yehuda against Rabbi Meir. Lamali, that's not a chiddush. What are you coming to? That's no novelty here. Machloikes v'achar kach stami. Machloikes v'achar kach stam. In other words, our Mishnah here is in Bava Kama, and it says what? Machloikes Amen Rabbi Yehuda. If you open, what is the next tractate in the Talmud after Bava Kama? Yeah, I know you know. So in Bava Metzia, it says outright, whoever makes changes without warning the other party will always be on the losing side. Oh, so the Mishnah later on in Bava Metzia, paskins like Rabbi Yehuda. We have a rule here, which I learned when I was, 12. When you have in the Mishnah a machloekes between Tana X and Y, and then the Mishnah later on, this is very important stuff here. The Mishnah later on just speaks about opinion X and ignores Y. That is to say, why do we ignore Y? To show halach is like X. The Gemara now elaborates. The Gemara tells you what I already told you. Machloekes bava kama litzba lo odom etzivay shachar etzivay odom. The guy who changed the color red, black, red. Rabbi Meir says, I don't find him, he's not a fine man, but I don't find him. In other words, he's a ganav. He was koine b'shinui. He gets to keep the black wool or the red wool or the polka dots wool, and he pays me for the tzemer that he changed, that he stole from me. Rabbi Yehuda says, no. He has to be fined. He has to be penalized. And therefore, I'll only pay minimum. I'll take the paint and I'll enjoy it, because maybe my wife likes. Actually, my wife doesn't wear red ever. Yeah, my wife would want the other color, the pink, and whatever. I'll deal with it, and you get paid minimum wages because you misbehaved. I'll give you if shvach yeser leyitzia, noisen leyitzia. If the shvach, meaning if the expenses were the ones that were less than the result, like the normal way, I'll pay only for expenses. And if you messed up anyways, and you had the good result was worth less than the expenses, you didn't make it even, I'll pay you for the good result. I'll always pay you for the minimum. So that's the Meforshim Machloekes, which we all know in Bava Kama. The stam means an anonymous Mishnah, not unanimous, but anonymous. A Mishnah that doesn't quote an opinion. Stam Mishnah says something, what? Not always. Stam Mishnah Rabbi Meir, but not always. If you have a Machloekes and then stam, then the stam means whichever opinion. If we have opinion X, Y, and later on only X is repeated, that is to say we believe in X, and we conveniently forgot opinion Y because we don't believe in it. That's like a diplomatic way to say you're off the stage, you're out of the competition. So the stam above Metzia, we have Lav Dafka Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir is the only one who don't have that rule. It's true the stam Mishnah Rabbi Meir, but it doesn't apply. That's not whenever. Lav Dafka. In this case, it is. In this case, it's against Rabbi Meir. Here against Rabbi Meir, the stam above Metzia. What does it say above Metzia, which is a later Masechta? Later on, we open the next Masechta. we see who's right. Rabbi Yehuda or Meir, who's alocha? Look what it says. Titnan. It says in the next Masechta, one of the later prokim, Kol ha-mishaneh, whoever changes not according to the client, whoever changes from the agreement, yeah, with no further notice, Yoda Tachtoino, his hand is the lower hand. He's always on the losing side. He's always going to lose in the deal. He'll get minimum wages and not the maximum. If anybody regrets, if anybody revokes and stops working in the middle of the day, in the middle of the day, he's supposed to work all day long, and he all of a sudden changed and stopped working. Also, so the question is, Rav Huna, why do you have to tell me what I learned when I was 12? Why does Rav Huna have to tell us something? It is an Amora when we have a very, very well-known, well-rooted rule that says Machloikas followed by Stam, meaning only one of the two opinions is mentioned. That is the best way of telling me that Rebbe learned the Machloikas. Then he came to the conclusion. Rav Huna, your words seem to be redundant. No Chiddush. Okay? Question. Answers the Gemara. Rav Huna has an answer. Don't worry. Rav Huna, Itzrich. Rav Huna says, yes, I do need to say what I said. There was a reason to what I said. The Maroim only spoke when they had to. Salkadaita Chamina, listen carefully. These are all very important rules that apply all over the Gemara on how to ask it. I would have thought, Ein Seder la Mishnah. I would have thought like this. The Mishnayos, you think, says Rav Huna, that Mishnayos are organized according to order, lav dafka, which means, lahavdil, I once heard about movies, I'm really not into movies at all, Baruch Hashem. Sometimes movies, I was told once by a lady, that sometimes they shoot the last episode before the first one because of convenience reasons. That's why they shoot in Venice and in Tel Aviv. They do all the shootings of Venice, regardless to the chronology of the movie. I'm sorry for the not so good, a through movie. Okay, Nagid. In other words, just because you learned this lahavdil Avdolos, Rebbe, because Bava Kama is before Bava Metzia, doesn't mean to say that Rebbe studied Bava Kama before he studied Bava Metzia. Could be studied Bava Metzia first, then Bava Kama, but at the end of the day, he organized them that way. So what's the logic of Machloikes v'achakach stam? I learned something, I learned the Machloikes, and later on, 2 weeks later, I came back and I said, Yuroka, I believe A and not B. But if you say that Ein Seder la Mishnah, the Mishnah is not organized by the original way it was studied, then continues the Gemara, the Stam, then I don't know the order. Maybe really Bav Metzia was taught first, originally, and then Bava Kama. So it's not true that you say, Bava Kama, we have a Machloikes. Later on, we became smarter in Bav Metzia, and now we know that Rabbi Yehuda is right. No, maybe it was a stam, a statement. There was a general statement, and then later on, then Rabbi started having questions. Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Meir. Frek the Gemara. So Mimela, your rule is wrong. Frek Rabbi Yosef. What? Are you koifer in the whole concept? Rabbi Yosef is retorting back to Rav Huna. If so, kol mechlokes v'achakach stoma. Whenever you have a mechlokes v'achakach stam, Neima ain't said on a Mishnah. You all know that there is a rule that says Machlokes v'achakach stam. We both believe in Machlokes v'achakach stam. We both believe that if a Machlokes was taught first and then a stam statement, a general statement, we follow the general statement. According to you, that klal would never apply because we never know who was first. You know what I'm saying? You're contradicting yourself. You believe in me. You believe like me that there is a rule. Whatever was studied first is a question, and was studied later as a given statement is a real thing. But we don't know what's later, what's first. I watched the movie. I see the guy Chiloni. Then he's Chayzer B'tshuva. I don't know. Then he meets his parents. All very nice. But I don't know what was shot first. Yeah, maybe that shooting was first, and so it's all confusing. How can you apply the rule Machlokes v'achakach stam, right? Because really, we don't know what was written before what. Answers the Gemara, and this is the big rule also, the Rav Huna. Says Rav Huna like this. And this is the Maskana. Ki loy amrinan ein seder la Mishnah. Very confusing words. Ki loy amrinan ein seder la Mishnah. When we don't say that there's no order to the Mishnah, meaning, it's minus, it's a plus. Even I know that. The kids are, when do we say there is Seder la Mishnah? Don't think, says Rav Huna, that I'm koifer, and I think Rebbe did everything all messed up one before the other. Bechad Masechta. In one Masechta, the entire Bava Kama was thought, learned, written, published, but the right order. The first chapter, second, third, fourth, fifth, by the right chronology from A to Z. And therefore, if in the one Masechta you have machloikes, let's say in what's the previous parak, in a choivel, and in our parak, of the ninth parak, the goizel eitzim, you have a stam. They'll do machloikes v'chakach stam. One Masechta internally has order, and then we apply machloikes v'chakach stam. Aval betrei Masechtes amrinan. When it's two Masechtes were not necessarily learned and written by that order. In other words, two Masechtes are two different worlds. Could be that Rebbe HaKadosh studied Bava Metzia before Bava Kama, right? So he had the thought process and even writing of Bava Metzia first, and therefore the statements from Bava Metzia that seems to support Rabbi Yehuda means nothing, because maybe it was studied before Bava Kama. Okay, get me? And it makes a lot of sense. One Masechta is one book. One book should be written, chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, by the order. Different books, Lav Dafka. Kosis points out that there is a lot of intelligence, and Rambam says it, the order of the Masechtas is intelligent, but that was La'achar Ma'aser. He studied maybe Bava Basra and Sanhedrin, then he studied Bava Kama, then this and that, but then he organized them properly. But Machlokas v'chakach stam only applies within the same Masechta. You, says Rabbi Yosef, you're bringing me from a different Masechta, that means nothing to me. And that's why I had to say what I had to say. I had to tell you, halacha is like Rabbi Yehuda against Rabbi Meir, because information from Bava Metzia does not reflect anything regarding Bava Kama. Rabbi Yosef has what to answer here too. It's a very tough ping pong over here. Rabbi Yosef, Kula Nezikin Chada Masechta hi. Rabbi Yosef says the entire Nezikin, meaning the first three Masechtas, Bava Kama, Metzia, and Basra are all one Masechet. You know that. That's what he holds. He believes Bava Kama, Metzia, Bava Basra is all one Masechta. So I agree with you. I agree with you that there's only order in one Masechta and not in separate Masechtas. If we're talking about Bava Kama and Sanhedrin, I'm with you. But Bava Kama and Metzia are the same Masechta. So it is considered to be Machloikes here, and then later on, chronologically, the stamp that we pass in Rabbi Yehuda. That's why I think what you said is redundant. One more line, and then we finish today. Diboy Seima, alternatively, Mishum dektani lagabi ilchet apsikta. Another reason why I think, says Rabbi Yosef, you're wrong, and I think that it's self-explanatory that the stam, the statement above Metzia, is a very strong ruling statement. You know why? The Mishnah over there spoke about a person returning in the middle of the day, not about a person changing. The statement, if you change in Yod al Techtona, is the sore thumb there. It's out of place. So why did the Mishnah find it necessary to mention it? To tell us extra strong that Allah is the Rabbi Yehuda. To make an extra statement that comes to tell me I daf called Rabbi Yehuda, otherwise I wouldn't have said it because it's out of context otherwise. Woo! Wow, thank you very much. You guys are amazing. Kol hakavod for being with me through this Shiur. Shkoyach, an amazing, a good Shabbos, Hatzlacha, Uvrocha.